Good afternoon, everyone. This is episode 48 of the Off Topical podcast. We are one day away from our 1 year anniversary as a podcast. Raven, what do you think about that, my friend?
That's awesome. I wish I had some of those little party things, so I can spin them and make all the noise, and then have those little things where you pull the cord and then confetti goes flying out, because that's really what I need in my office is confetti everywhere.
Oh yeah, confetti would be great. This episode we are talking about GNOME's 3.34 release. We're also talking about Hello Games supporting Linux, but in a non-traditional kind of way. Also, Nintendo is suing another ROM site for copyright infringement. All this and more today. All right, so before we get started on this episode, Raven and I have been talking about some of the things that we would like to see in the Linux community, specifically software that is either not meeting our needs or just doesn't exist on Linux. We'd love to know what you guys think about this. So we're going to have an actual thread on the forums where you can go over there and let us know what you think. What software is missing in your Linux productivity world? We'd love to know your thoughts on that. All right, the first story today is GNOME 3.34, codename Thessaloniki. What do you think about this, Raven?
It has a crazy code name. That's what I think of it.
It was named after the town where they held Guadek this year.
Oh, okay, cool. But as far as what I actually think about it, honestly, I'm a little impressed. Yeah. I am a little impressed. And everyone who listens to this podcast knows how I feel about GNOME.
Raven, impressed by a GNOME release?
I know, right? It should be like the front headline,
that's gonna be the headline, yeah.
Honestly, I don't care too much about Epiphany or whatever the browser is it, or Web? Isn't it called Web?
Well, when you go to launch it, it's called Epiphany, but yeah, it's called Web.
Oh, okay. I'm not really too concerned about that because Firefox is still king. I mean, it's great that they're making yet another WebKit thing, but meh.
Well, Web is going to be the primary browser in Pure OS on the Linux 5.
I know. I wish it was Firefox, but whatever. It's fine. I also like the improvements to Box.
Yeah.
Their virtual machine manager thing. It's like a front end for QEMU or whatever, right? Something like that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like front end for QEMU.
Yeah, which is really nice because it allows you to easily configure things like KVMs and all that other sort of stuff. Which is kind of a godsend, honestly, because that's the worst part about QEMU is setting all that crap up.
Yeah. It's actually really nice looking too. I'm a huge sucker for the GTK3 style. I like it.
Oh, we know. And then you now have their the update to games. I really wish they had better names for some of this stuff because just calling it games is kind of
their naming convention is to just take a noun and name the app a noun. Usually just a single word, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I can understand the simplicity that they're going for with that.
Right, yeah, which is basically just a front end for various emulators that it downloads. That's literally all it is. It doesn't expose all the features, though. You have to go in and edit some stuff manually if you want to fully expose all the features for some of them.
Right.
Now, granted, I haven't used games that much, but, I wouldn't want to play, a PlayStation 2 game where, you have to tend to tweak stuff quite significantly. But for NES and SNES titles, that pretty much work out of the box. Yeah. And it is pretty cool getting the old box art in, your applications launcher for the games. I actually like that part. That part's really cool.
Yeah, I really like games, but like you said, I mean, there are a few issues where you have to actually set stuff up in order to get games working.
Yeah, outside of games.
Right.
Why don't they okay, maybe start with one system and then every release, add more exposed features. But maybe someone's getting to that. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like here they've added support for multiple save states, which wasn't supported before. And at a certain point, I think games is going to reach a critical mass where they're just going to have enough of the features that you need to actually get stuff configured and get games running out of the box.
Yeah, because like libretro does way better, or RetroPie,
I'm pretty sure libretro is what they use as a backend here.
Yeah, but they don't expose all the system settings as far as at least not when I last used it.
Right. I don't think that they are doing.
It's very streamlined. It's very streamlined.
Yeah,
which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Right. There isn't like a whole configuration menu for each different emulator that's part of libretro. So you're gonna have a couple problems getting, like, if you want to set up the controller, you can do that, and it's kind of like an overarching controller design. Like you set it up once, and then it's going to try and apply them for all the different emulators, which isn't quite ideal. So being able to like configure things, I could be wrong about that actually. Do I have games installed? I do. I'm pretty sure. Whoops. No, I'm just going to like go off on a tangent. Hold on. Preferences, controllers. Yeah, it looks like you only set it up once. I don't know if you can actually set it up again, like for different emulators. And that should be something you could customize.
And that's kind of my problem with it, honestly. Like, that's one of the bigger things. Like, there's not enough customization. And quite frankly, when we're dealing with emulators, particularly if you want to do anything outside of the NES or SNES or Game Boy world, particularly like when you start hitting like PlayStation 2 games and stuff like that, no, you kind of want you kind of want to be able to tweak your settings.
Yeah.
Because no matter how stout of a machine you have, if you can't tweak certain things, you can get graphical glitches and stuff. So.
Yeah.
And that's like my big problem with like the PlayStation 2 emulator in general, is like every game almost requires custom configuration.
Do they have a PS2 emulator part of libretro?
Yeah, I believe so.
Really? I didn't know that.
Game supports PS2, so yeah, it should be if they're using libretro. Yeah. I mean, they're just downloading PCSX2, so I mean, it's not...
Oh.
It hasn't had a stable release in like almost 3 years, but I actually just updated the other day because I wanted some updates, and it fixed a lot of problems, and it runs a lot smoother, which is great because I was running the 2016 version, and I was playing an old version of Madden. I was like, you know what? I actually enjoyed this game when I was like 14 years old. I think I'll play it for a little bit, and I did. You know what's hilarious? Getting off into it. Speaking of tangents. That version of Madden has more features than Madden 20, which I find just to be absolutely hilarious.
That's funny. And it has less microtransactions, too.
Less microtransactions? And the gameplay's better. It has more gameplay features. Dude, more gameplay features. It's on the freaking PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, I have the PlayStation 2 version, but I actually played the Xbox version, which was superior, but whatever.
Yeah. There were a few golden ages of gaming. For me, like the golden ages of gaming were 2007, when like BioShock and Portal and stuff were coming out. Like that was, perfect. And and then you had like the PS2 era and the Xbox era around the time Halo came out, and you had a bunch of great games on the PlayStation 2, like Guitar Hero 2 and stuff. Those were like the two standout times of gaming for me. But we're talking about GNOME.
Right. So the new backgrounds preview.
Yeah.
As everyone knows, I am a big Ubuntu fan, and I have left Ubuntu. So I'm actually looking forward to actually be able to get this latest update quicker because, well, quite frankly, that just looks awesome. Like that background preview, just.
What distro are you on now?
Looks fantastic. Arch.
Nice. By the way, guys, he uses Arch.
Old Arch. Yep. I'm one of those Arch people that doesn't talk about the fact that he uses Arch.
Yeah.
Because, quite frankly, Arch is a pain in the ass, and anyone who says otherwise is lying to themselves and everyone around them.
People ask me, because I use Manjaro, people are like, when are you going to ditch Manjaro and use Arch? And I'm like, I'm not. Never. I don't want to have a system that's a pain in the ass.
Before that happens?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. And for those of you wondering, why did I leave Ubuntu? Because Ubuntu, which is held by Canonical, thought it would be a good idea to kill 32-bit libs. Yes, before anyone goes, but they reversed that. Yeah, I know they reversed it. But that's not the point. The point is that 1, they thought it was a good idea. 2, they thought it was a good idea. 3, they didn't fully reverse it. They're just going to support a small subset of the 30 most commonly used 32-bit libs. And I'm just sitting here thinking Arch can maintain all those 32-bit libs and they have no desire to get rid of it. In fact, the only company that does is Ubuntu. So, I could see Elementary doing it and getting away with it because Elementary doesn't even allow PPAs out of the box. So I could totally see Elementary. But, honestly, as someone who likes to play games, I need 32-bit libraries. As someone who enjoys using Wine on his own to play, because I'm like a really big fan of city builders. It might not be a well-known fact, but I am I love city builders. City builders are like my favorite, and my favorite city builders are from Impression Games. Like Caesar 3 and Emperor Rise of the New Kingdom. And
yeah.
I love them.
Have you played Caesarea?
Have I played what?
Caesarea?
I don't think so. Link me. Link me.
It's an
I need
open
to be linked
source
right now. You need to link me right now.
It's an open source one.
Okay, well, you need to link me right now. I like Zeus and Poseidon. I love all those old Impression games. And guess what? I play them with Wine. Guess who can't play those if Ubuntu drops 32 bits? So yeah, I got a little pissed and then just went to Arch and haven't been back. I have thought about giving Manjaro a try, and I might give it a try, but we'll see. All right, I gotta link everyone. I didn't know this existed.
Yeah, dude.
This is on Steam too.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's open source.
It's literally just an open source version of Caesar. Like, it doesn't even use the same models or anything. Why did I not know this existed?
I don't know, man.
I'm gonna try this. This is incredible.
Yeah, Caesar was one of my favorite games. I loved playing the Caesar games.
I can't go to their website.
If you're on the video version of the podcast, you will see the game on the screen right now.
Oh yeah, I love Caesar, man. I played that so much as a kid, like so freaking much. Like, you have no idea how much I played Caesar and Roller Coaster Tycoon. I'm a big fan of simulation games. And now, granted, I can play Roller Coaster Tycoon thanks to OpenRCT, but for Wine, because let's be honest, outside of playing World of Warcraft Classic, which everyone should be playing,
the website doesn't work.
Yeah, uBlock blocks it, but it's cool. Yeah, it annoys me. So yeah, I just went to Arch because I've been running Arch on my laptops for a long time, just because. Well, actually, my one laptop, believe it or not, runs Haiku OS still.
Nice.
It's been over a year now, and it still runs Haiku. It mostly works.
Yeah. Haiku is
good.
Really cool. The only problem I have with Haiku on my laptop is that the backlight isn't supported. Like,
yep.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean. It's like it's just full on.
Oh man.
It's either full on or it's off. There's no middle.
I didn't even know how to I couldn't even figure out how to turn it off. Like, I had it installed on the laptop that I'm using now, and I'm like, I'm like sitting there and I'm like, it's daytime and I'm like, this seems a little bit bright, but I wasn't like thinking about it consciously. I just kind of noticed, and then like as I like put the laptop away, come over to my computer, work over here, and then like it's nighttime. I go back over to my laptop. I turn it on and it's like, oh, like right in my face, dude. It was awful.
Doesn't GNOME have a night feature, like where it slowly dims the screen?
Yep.
Is that built in or is that an extension?
That's built in.
Because I never saw that with Ubuntu, but I have it now. I'm just wondering if it was like.
Yeah, that's built in. It's under in the settings.
I like it.
It's if you go to.
Because I always used to use Flux. Remember Flux?
Displays. No. Nightlight.
Flux? Oh, you don't remember Flux?
No.
It's basically a program that you put on your machine, and it dims the screen and removes the blue coloring of stuff. And it's really handy, and I literally can't function without it. And so when I moved to Arch, one of the first things I did was look for that, and then I realized that GNOME just had it, and I was like, didn't GNOME have an announcement about that like a year or two ago? And then I found it, and I was like, it's weird. Like, I never noticed it before in Ubuntu. Like, did they remove it or something? Because they are running slightly new versions, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, I
Ubuntu
will
is
say
always
that
like a year, like a release behind, it seems. With
sort
GNOME.
of, but like they're only one release behind, and that's only because GNOME 3.34 just dropped. And I'm wondering if 1910 won't hold up to
Well,
it.
I think I read that 1910 is going to launch with GNOME 3.34.
3.34?
Yeah, this latest version. But I don't know if that was the case
that's
the
good.
whole, for the history of the OS.
No. And then like there's music updates, so we're just going down in a list here.
Yeah.
I don't like music. I prefer Rhythm Box. I don't
Man,
like music at
I'm
all.
telling you what, like it has fewer features than Rhythmbox, but I much prefer the look.
You mean the nothingness?
Yeah,
look?
the minimalism.
Okay.
That's what I like.
Well, at least like Rhythm Box, it gives like I like the little pop-up notifications like when I use my media keys on my keyboard. When I'm not using my Model M, I'm using a Corsair and it has media keys, and I love it because every time I change the track or whatever, I like the little pop-up with the little box. I don't know, it's cool. I like it. Like it looks really cool. I love that. That's actually something that I really don't like about KDE is I don't get that sort of stuff because KDE has so many notifications that I spend 10 minutes turning them all off. I just turn everything off with KDE because I don't know what does what anymore, and I'm too lazy to read. Let's be real. So I just turn it all off.
Right.
Because I hate constant pop-ups. GNOME is bad about that too, actually. But it's a lot easier to turn them on and off.
There are some problems with GNOME's notifications. I don't know if you remember, we talked about, I think it might have been on the podcast. It might have been on the channel, but I talked about some of the mock-up designs for the new GNOME notifications panel. Did you see that?
I did.
Oh man,
Much better.
They're so much nicer. Holy cow! I really
When's that coming, or is that already here?
That's just in the like mock-up proposal stages still, as far as I know. But I like, especially for the Librem 5, like we need like better notifications on GNOME.
Yeah, we don't need half the fucking screen covered or anything like that.
Right.
I don't know if it does that, but we definitely don't need that. And then honestly, the interesting thing, now one thing I don't like about GNOME, and I actually talked to this about EG, I don't like the fact that because Ubuntu forked their software center, they removed snap support out of the thing. I really hate that, and I find it to be very petty and just overall stupid. So if anyone who works on GNOME is listening to this, that's how I feel about your decision, and there's nothing you can say that will change that because Ubuntu didn't remove Flatpak support. It's just not enabled. You can just turn it on. But you fully removed snaps, which is just, I'm tired of this petty war between distros and development environments with distros. I'm just tired of the pettiness. Like, everyone wants their thing to be the thing, and it's not going to happen because Linux has never been about just one thing. Stop trying to force that.
Well, I think Flatpaks have kind of cemented themselves more than
sort of, but
Snaps
see, the
have.
thing is, like, snaps are better in other ways than Flatpaks. Like, Flatpaks still suck, particularly when you want to work with, like, a development environment. Like, there's a lot of cases where Flatpaks is overly sandboxing. It's just irritating as hell. Whereas snaps, it's just like, do you want it to be sandboxed or not? Yes or no. And if you don't, then it just has full system access. Like, or, you know, as much as the program has been written to access. And there are some advantages that snaps have over Flatpaks. And you could argue that Flatpaks have an advantage over Snappaks in the same way. But snaps bundle everything. So they're like an app image.
Yeah.
So that makes them much bigger, but it also means that snaps will pretty much work anywhere the snap system is supported because everything's pre-configured, pre-compiled, and pre-bundled. It's just all there. Now, this is by no means a support or an endorsement for snaps. Everyone who listens to this podcast knows how me and Gardner feel about Flatpaks and snaps.
Yeah.
They don't integrate well. They're plagued with issues. App images work much better, as does, you know, repositories. So I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but I do find it a bit dickish that GNOME removes snaps purely because Ubuntu forked a project. Forked. Like, that level of pettiness just annoys me.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you this. I am glad that the Pure OS store is going to be based on Flatpaks. I'm actually happy about that.
To me, it wouldn't matter which one anyway.
Right.
It really doesn't matter.
I'm just glad that they're not native deb packages.
Because, yes.
Because if you have a phone and you're installing, if you're installing frickin' deb packages, it's only a matter of time before the system's just gonna get unstable. And so being able to install Flatpaks, yeah, it's gonna make things a little less.
Well, they needed to pick either Flatpaks or Snaps. Like there was no question about it. They either needed to roll their own system.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of work, or they needed to use Flatpaks or Snaps.
Yeah.
Personally, as I've said many times, I don't really care. I've said this before, I think. I don't really care which one they picked for the store. Like, to me, it really doesn't matter. I don't like Flatpaks, and I don't like Snaps, so, it really doesn't matter from my end. And there's been some other stuff that they did, like some other quality of life stuff that they've done. And they also did a lot of bug fixes. Thank you.
You're talking about GNOME? No?
Yes. If there's... Well, we went back to GNOME.
Yeah.
Like, we went back to the original topic, which is totally defeats the point of this podcast, but we did it anyway. But that's something... Dude, did you see KDE... Going off topic again, but KDE is going to focus on bug fixing. That's part of their goal for the next year or 2 years or whatever. They have that thing like every year or two where they determine the goal of the community as a whole, and bug fixing is one of the things. And I'm like, yes, because that is something that I will give GNOME. Bug fixes are they're not number one priority, but they're up there.
Yeah.
I have no idea where they were within KDE. I have no idea. Because I don't even think they were on the list. I don't think they were even a consideration. Because KDE, it is fairly stable. I will give it that. But, man, when it has problems, it just tanks. Like, I still get issues where the whole panel just disappears and then reappears because it crashed and then reset itself.
Mm.
And that is annoying. It shouldn't do that. It's a panel, for God's sakes. But it crashes. And the error message makes no sense. So,
speaking of crashes, Discord just crashed on me. And, like, you just cut off in the middle of a sentence. And I opened Discord, and I was still in a call with you. And you just didn't even notice.
Whatever.
That's cool. No,
well, it's probably because I have OBS on, so I don't get any notifications while we do the podcast.
Yeah.
So basically, I could just toggle, but it's easier to just turn off OBS than it is to go inside of Discord. But basically, I have streamer mode enabled.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't get anything. Also, you weren't necessary for talking anyway, so it doesn't matter.
No, that's good.
Your job is to just listen to my ramblings and agree.
Basically, that's what I do here.
But no, I am super stoked, and I know, like I've said, people who've watched this podcast before, I am very much not a GNOME fan, but GNOME 3.34 is making me... I'm starting to rethink my opinion on it. Like, they're starting to do things properly.
Especially with the performance upgrades, too.
Yes, that is the main thing for me. Because, I'm a big i3 lover. My desktop is i3, and the reason it is i3 is because i3 uses like 16 megabytes of RAM, which leaves my remaining 64 megabytes. It relieves my remaining 64 gigabytes of RAM free to do whatever it is they want, because I got to be honest, and it looks great, right? That's the thing that blows me away. Like, i3, when you customize it right, it looks beautiful. Now, it's a lot of work to tweak it. It's not hard. It's just a lot of work. It's tedious. But that's the way it should be. That is the way it should be, in my opinion. Like, we should be better than Microsoft in every possible way because we have to be better. Because people will always, like, oh, well, that software is free, so clearly it sucks. And that's one thing I will, that is something I will give the elementary OS guys. They work really hard to make sure that what little they do have works flawlessly. And it's probably for that reason. They know that they can't win on any other front, so they're just going to work. Which, I give them props for that.
Yeah, I like elementary OS.
I don't. It's terrible.
God.
I cannot... here's the thing. I like the people that work on it. I think they're great people.
Yeah, they're awesome.
But I don't like the distribution because I don't like the fact that I don't get PPAs. I don't like how out of date all the software is. It's like a whole host of problems. And, I'm not a beginner Linux user, And I'm also not someone who needs their handheld or likes their handheld. I mean, I use i3 of all things. I use Arch and i3. So we're just going to put that out there as to what kind of individual I am.
Yeah, you love being knee deep in config files.
Right. So to me, Elementary OS is just the opposite of what I want. But it also makes people come to Linux. So I love them for that.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it looks nice, sort of. I also hate the fact you can't minimize. I hate that fact. I don't care what anyone says. I like to minimize. Now, of course, I'm using i3, so I don't minimize anyway. Yeah, but here's the thing, right? I have this beautiful wallpaper. This gorgeous wallpaper that I'll never see if I were to use Elementary. I see it with i3 because, you know, I can have transparent backgrounds or windows and stuff. So I can see my beautiful wallpaper. What's the point of having this amazing wallpaper if no one ever gets to see it?
Yeah, I don't know. In GNOME, you can see it when you open up the activities panel.
Yeah. me.
Anyway, I think we've exhausted this story. What do you think?
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm telling you, I really, really like the new GNOME 3 update.
Yeah,
I'm actually a really big fan.
I haven't got my hands on it yet, but I am stoked.
Background preview. Okay, the background previews. That is such an obvious thing. Such an obvious thing. Because KDE will let you apply it and see it without going back. GNOME is like you have to select your wallpaper and then hit OK. And then my wallpaper folder is 15 gigs.
Wow.
It's not trivial to just go back in and look at the wallpapers again. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's not trivial, but this wallpaper, the background preview, like, you know, you just select it and then it shows it in the back. Oh, I love you guys. I love you so much. Because, again, dude, it actually freezes to open up my background folder. It actually freezes.
Wow.
It's really funny. Like, it just freezes because the folder is so big, and it takes a while to generate all the thumbnails. And I guess it does it every time. So
there's no thumbnail caching?
I don't know. It freezes every time I open.
Huh.
I thought at first it was my hard drive.
Yeah.
Like, I was panicking because, you know, I'm waiting to upgrade. Because, like, when I upgrade this system, so everyone who knows, I have 8 hard drives. 8 1 terabyte hybrid hard drives. And when I upgrade this system to a Threadripper 3, I'm finally getting rid of these hard drives that I've had for like 4 or 5 years, which are totally on their way out. Like, it actually made me shut off my system and do a check on my hard drives because I actually thought that my hard drives were going bad. And was like, oh God. But no, they all reported back healthy. So, I mean, I don't know how. They should be dead at this point, but they're not. So I'm just going to live with it. I think my hard drives are going to go from like 100 to 0. Like, they're just going to instantly. But I'm going for full NVMe system next time. I'm getting like one of those PCIe X16 adapters, and I'm just going to plug 4 of them in. And then I'm just going to get another one because, you know, I'm going to have 4 slots. So I'm just going to plug them in and off I go. I'm going full NVMe. And I know that's going to be really expensive, but a 1 terabyte Samsung NVMe is like $150. Something like that. You know, it depends on where you go and if it has discounts and all that crap. But
yeah,
I paid $150 for each one of these because that's what the hybrid drives cost when they were brand new. And the NVMe drives are just what?
They're like so much
6 or 7 times faster. It's like,
yeah.
And the adapter's like $70 or something because, you know, no board is going to have enough space for that. Like, my board right now I think has 2 slots or something like that. And a Threadripper 3 board might have 3 or 4. Like, it's not going to have a lot of slots.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I'm just going to go with just using the PCI Express slot. Because I'm going to have 2 slots, 2 PCI Express X16 slots that I'm not going to use. So I might as well use them.
Yeah.
So my system's going to look really weird. And I'm so excited. Like, I can't wait. Like, I'm really excited. But I have like another year or so before I do it. And I probably won't upgrade immediately anyway, because I kind of learned the lesson getting this Threadripper. Like, this board had so many issues. So bad. So I'll probably wait a few months, and I'm hoping, like, let me put it this way. If there's a half price sale this Christmas, I'm going to buy them and just put them in storage. Like,
nice.
Like, because, you know, hard drives are expensive. Good hard drives are expensive, but from my experience, NVMe drives last a really long time.
I bought I bought a 10 terabyte Western Digital NAS drive.
I have one of those in my NAS.
Do you know how much I spent for that frickin' hard drive?
Like $200-300 probably.
Almost 300, yeah.
Yeah, but it'll never die.
No.
That old clunky ass thing might be slow, but it's like them damn tape drives that IBM sells. It'll outlast you.
Yeah.
I love that too. By the way, have you seen those IBM tape drives? You know IBM still makes tape drives?
No, I didn't.
For archiving and storage purposes? Sense. Yeah, they still make them. Hang on. Since we're talking about it, I want to tell you the speed of them. Where's the Wikipedia page? This is one thing I hate about... oh, here we go. The newest ones, max uncompressed speed is 1 Gbit. Or 1,000 megabytes, I should say. You know, that's actually pretty fast considering you're copying off a tape drive. Now, considering that tape drive can store 40 terabytes, you're still going to be there a while.
Yeah, that's actually really impressive.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's still, God, how long would that take? Forever, pretty much.
Yeah.
Couple hours at best. At worst, probably a day or two.
Yeah.
But, like, old ones like were really slow. I mean, it's still too slow to do anything, but for archiving purposes, reading and writing, and keep in mind that says uncompressed speed. They will be compressed, and so it will probably be much slower.
Right.
Like probably a tenth of the speed. But hey, it's still faster, and you get good old tape drives and everything else, and it's awesome, and I love it. And yeah, we've totally worn this out.
Yeah. We want to know what you guys think. What do you think about Samsung, or is that Intel's tape drives, or how about
IBM.
the IBM? How about the fact that GNOME 3.34 was just released? What do you think about GNOME 3.34, or any of the tangential topics that we talked about during this news story? Let us know on the forums, in the show notes on the forums, forum.heavyelement.io. All right, next story, we have Hello Games are continuing to support Linux by updating their Windows binaries to support Steam Play. What do you think about this, Raven?
You know, I think it's awesome. You know, Hello Games used to actually make games for Linux, right?
Yeah.
Sorry,
I have not Beautiful Joe. I have what's that?
Danger Joe, or what is that game?
Yeah.
I think it's Danger Joe or something like that. It was the Stuntman game. Yeah. And it runs beautifully.
Hold on, I'm looking it up now.
No,
Joe Danger, that's what it is.
That's what it is. So I had it backwards. I knew it was Danger Joe. I just got the order wrong. It's Joe Danger. Yeah. They used to support Linux. And I was actually really bummed when No Man's Sky came out and they didn't support Linux, because they just have this OpenGL engine using SDL2. It's like, how hard would it have been to support Linux? Honestly, probably not very hard. And given the fact that it basically works out of the box, except for a few driver-related issues, just goes to show that it would have probably have been very easy to support Linux. Because they use open source tools and everything. Like, they're just that kind of company.
Yeah, they're really...
Of course, they had such a launch for No Man's Sky that I think that was the last thing on their mind.
Yeah. But, you know, even when No Man's Sky launched, there were reports that No Man's Sky ran better on Linux through Wine than it did natively on Windows.
I tried it. It did. It totally did.
Yeah.
It worked out of the box, no problem. It just you get the GOG version, and it launched. Like, it just launched.
Yeah.
Like, no problems, no mess, no fuss, nothing.
Yeah. And there's better frame rates and overall less frame pacing issues.
It's one of those instances where a game designed with OpenGL in mind will always typically work better on Linux for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's not like Microsoft gimps OpenGL. I don't care what anyone says. They don't actually gimp OpenGL. I just think it's just the operating system is just not built with it in mind. It's not like they're gimping it. They're just not helping it either.
Yeah,
they're just
Microsoft
very neutral towards it.
Yeah, it's more up to the developer, like the hardware vendors, to support OpenGL on Windows, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But like for like DirectX, I feel like they do a lot of extra stuff.
Yeah, they do.
To make sure that it works right. In OpenGL, they do nothing.
Right.
Which in a way is kind of a nice thing because it means they're not gimping it, but on the other hand, they're not helping it either.
Dude,
now there was
I have
a time
literally
when they
never
gimped
heard anyone use the word GIMP outside of talking about the image software until
but
now.
that's the actual definition of it. That's the literal definition. Pardon me for knowing the English language, Gardner.
I mean, I knew that was a word, but I've never heard anyone use it. That's cool. Whatever.
Apologies for knowing the English language. But yeah, so it's really nice. I think it's great that they actually are taking time out of their day to do that. You know,
Yeah.
Hello Games had a very interesting launch. Because it was nothing like how they said it was going to be, and they fully deserved everything that happened to them. Now, maybe not the death threats and stuff, that's a little uncalled for, but the negative reviews and people just not liking it, yeah, they kind of deserve that, because that's what happens when you make a game that's not how you say it is.
Right. Yeah, Sean Murray made a lot of promises, and it didn't really live up to that.
Promises.
But
no, it didn't.
The thing is, like, just a month ago, they like published a fix for No Man's Sky for Steam VR on Linux, even though we don't have a native binary for
That's crazy.
for the game. Yeah, and I had a suspicion that this was going to happen. That Proton was going to usher in an era where developers it costs them less and they get more back from supporting Proton than it is to create a native version. And so the fact that they did that a month ago and now they actually have an experimental update that in their notes it says they fixed a Linux driver issues. That is really awesome. I'm not surprised, but I am kind of at a loss for words because this is what I was expecting. We just haven't seen a whole lot of this yet. I think that we're going to continue to see more of this, especially as Valve have been like doing stuff to kind of regain the trust of developers and the community at large.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Valve and games, this probably should have been its own thing. But did you see the new algorithm updates that they just pushed to everyone?
I saw the headline. I haven't read about it yet.
Okay, so they gave it to they secretly gave it to 5% of their Steam user base, and they saw something like a 76% traffic increase in unique games.
Yeah,
76%. That just proves that last October they totally gimped their damn store, and just butchered it. And yeah, I used it again because that's literally the actual wording for it. Yeah. They crushed their store. They hurt indies by doing so. And they fixed it. And not just that, they also saw a massive, they didn't give statistics, by the way, but they saw a massive increase in game sales with their new update. So here's to hoping that, wow, it's just blown away that they actually did something, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm blown away that Valve did something.
Well, the thing is, it's like Valve are very data driven, and the data that they care about most is how much money they can make. And so the fact that like this tweak to the algorithm has actually resulted in more games being sold, well, that's all the data that they need. They're going to continue to fix
and every
problems.
company's like that, because without money, you don't exist anymore. So, I don't know. Like, I think it's great that they did that. Maybe we should have talked about that in depth, but honestly, there really isn't much more to say other than that Valve tweaked its algorithms, and that in the 5% of people that they were following that they gave, those people bought more stuff, looked at more games, and they looked at more relevant games.
Yeah.
They're not like, I do own a few of those stupid visual novel games because, like, I'll either get it sent to me or I'll get a free key. By the way, if I get a free key, I add it. So if there's a game in my Steam library that doesn't make any sense, just think that most likely I didn't buy it. It was given to me for free, and I just added it to my account because I'm a bit of a collection whore, so it's kind of what I do.
Gotta catch them all, right?
Exactly. So, but for me, advertising those stupid, sex visual novel games is dumb because I'll never play them and I'll never buy them.
Yeah.
Like, you want my money? It needs to be a survival game. It needs to be a simulation game, or like a SNES style platformer type game. Like, that is what I buy.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I haven't bought a game since January of 2018 on Steam because, one, I keep getting games for free, and two, nobody is making a game I actually want to buy, which is kind of sad and actually really bums me out. Like, I actually want to play games, and yet no one is making a game that I want to play. Or they make a game that I want to play, and I kickstart, and they throw it on the Epic Store.
Yeah. Epic sucks. I actually opened
Borderlands
up...
3 came out today, so...
Oh, cool.
Never going to get it, because it's on the Epic Store, and it requires... It has Epic integration, so it'll probably never come to Steam.
Right.
But as far as, Valve and everything is concerned, they're doing good, and Hello Games is doing fantastic. Another game recommendation that I will recommend to everyone is Blasphemous. Blasphemous is so good.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Oh, you haven't heard of it? Okay, hang on, man. You're getting linked.
I just
There's
pulled
no
up
native
the,
Linux version, but yeah.
Nice.
Pulled up what? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I just pulled up the Gaming on Linux article about the tweaks to the
Steam
algorithm,
update?
and they actually have there's like a 75% increase in the number of unique games visited, and a 48% increase in the average visits per game. Which,
yeah, that's pretty big. That's monumental. Like that's whether or not an indie is going to make their next game or not level of increase, which is good because indies should be able to make games. Now, if they make a good game, I don't believe that. I don't believe that every person that makes a game makes a good game. Unfortunately,
right.
And I don't believe that just because you make a game, you should be entitled to a living. Like, if you want people's money, you have to make a quality product.
Yeah.
Which is something that Microsoft and Apple have forgotten. They just make money because they exist.
In the case of Apple, they just add a third camera to the back of their freaking phone.
In fairness, the extra lenses really do help increase camera quality, but it looks so ugly. It looks so ugly.
Apple has completely lost their way. They used to make beautiful devices, and now they make hideous bug machines. They are they are gross looking. Like, as someone who has what is that called? Polypropism phobia? I don't know. I have a phobia of tripopophobia. That's what it is. Like, it's a fear of those freaking the way that camera looks, the holes in it. It gives me the willies, man. It makes me feel like there's something poisonous and scary about it. I don't like it.
Look,
they have lost their way.
Apple
they suck.
In particular, Apple used to make quality software.
Oh yeah, they did.
It's been a while since Apple's made quality software. I don't care what anyone says. Apple doesn't make quality software anymore. They just make updates that fix the bugs and add new bugs. They're literally like Windows in that regard.
Yeah, they add updates that break their time-keeping algorithms.
Yeah, among other things. They make updates that flood your local network with packets, preventing any other machines from being on.
Yeah.
And that was a real bug back in 2014.
Yeah.
In fact, it still persists in certain machines to this day. So they've never fixed it. They just made new hardware and new updates, and it went away because people bought all new stuff, and then the problem just slowly went away.
Yeah.
That's how Apple does stuff now. Like, that's not quality. That's just pushing the problem to the future and to be fixed in the future. Yeah, when I have a new machine from you that I have to spend another $2,500 to $3,000 on, sure. Yeah. But I do miss the days because, I have an Apple II GS, and I love it. I have an older Macintosh. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I really do.
I'd love to have some of those.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're welcome to use them one day if you ever use them or would like to use them. They're pretty great. I don't know if you'd like the Apple II GS too much because it's kind of dossy.
I want a Power Mac G5 is what I want.
I'm looking for one of those.
Yeah.
I want a Power Mac, and then I want the one that I affectionately call a boat anchor because I feel like you could literally use it for a boat anchor.
Which one is that?
the big fat all-in-one one, the one that's from like 1999 to
Oh,
2000.
yeah, the
We've
one
talked
with the
about it
colors.
before.
Yeah.
Yes, I want one. You know why I want one? Because when I was in school, when I was in elementary school, our lab got a grant. Our school got a grant to upgrade its computer systems. Like, it wasn't a government grant; it was a private grant, and they built a all new Mac lab because naturally, when you get lots of money, you buy Mac. Apparently, I guess maybe you did back then. And they had those machines, and I really liked a lot of the software on it that was on it. Like the word processing and all that sort of stuff. I learned a lot of stuff on that. So it just has the nostalgic factor and stuff on it. And, I mean, that's pretty much it. For me, it's mostly just the nostalgic factor.
Mm.
But I also just want one because I just think they're darn cool looking. Like, they're transparent. You can see the hardware on the inside. I mean, are they great machines? Not really. They run Mac 9, which is kind of, they run like the last version of Mac 9.
Yeah.
Which admittedly isn't bad.
When I was in elementary school, we had like IBM ATs, I think.
Ooh.
They were like, and they ran like bespoke freaking launcher menus for like a bunch of games that you could play, and there was like they had like the Incredible Machine was one of the games you could play. Oh wait. Yeah, and I think it had Windows 3.1 on it. It was old. It was older than it should have been when I was in elementary school.
Well, before my school got that grant, because they got that grant when I was in 4th grade. But up until then, my school was running like Mac 8 Power Macintoshes. Those old ones?
Yeah.
They look like all-in-ones, but the monitor's actually sitting on it, and they're like kind of narrow, and they're just terrible. They were color Macintoshes, though. Like Oregon Trail and all that was on there was in color. Yes, we got to play Oregon Trail, which was awesome.
Yeah, we had Oregon Trail. We had a Treasure Mountain.
And all the Mario teaches typing and all that sort of stuff. That the frog thing that taught you words. All that sort of stuff. It had lots of educational games on it. But my point was more, they don't do that stuff anymore. They don't have any of that stuff anymore. They just teach you how to be an office drone.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, they don't even teach how to program anymore.
No.
Which is sad. But
my high school programming course, they were teaching us BASIC.
Well, at least they were teaching you something.
Yeah.
I love BASIC, by the way.
I know, but like it was like we literally had to open the BASIC, the coding. We had to open up the Windows command line and open up like the original Microsoft BASIC.
Yeah, QBasic, man.
QBasic, that's what it was. Yeah.
QBasic is rad, dude. I still program in QBasic every now and again.
But this was in high school, man. Whatever.
I'm older now than you were then, and I'm still using it. I don't see the point.
Yes, should they have probably taught you a better language, but you also have to understand, when we were in high school, schools couldn't just get some of the stuff that they can get now, which is weird because Microsoft will basically give any school their stuff for free, and yet schools don't teach it because teachers don't know how to do it. It's weird. We taught people how to program more in the 80s and 90s than we do now. But on the other hand, it might also just be that the internet has made it so that kids are learning it at home, but they should be learning it at school. Like, it should be mandatory.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like, you might not ever use it, but it gives you a deeper understanding of things and teaches awareness about stuff.
Yeah.
And also how to critically think.
I think like required courses in public school should be, you have to learn a foreign language, you have to learn programming, and you have to learn about how to actually do budgets, and you need a civics course.
Oh, yeah, they took civics out.
Yeah.
Well, civics is bad because knowing your rights is just terrible. Like, people should not grow up knowing their rights.
Right.
In fairness, we had a civics course in senior year of high school, and it was mind-blowing for some people. Some people didn't know that they had certain rights, and I'm like, yeah.
Well, it's like, who was it? Like, was it Beyonce tried to like trademark her daughter's name? It's like that is a failure of the education system. It's like there are so many celebrities who are like trying to trademark things. Who was it that tried to trademark Taco Tuesday? It's like,
I don't remember.
You can't do that. That's not how trademarks work. And if we taught people how copyright works and how trademarks work and that kind of stuff, it's like, come on, guys, pay attention, learn this stuff. It's not that difficult.
When people would campaign against Disney for increasing their trademark, they would actually do it if they knew how trademarks and copyrights work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all for copyrights and trademarks. I feel like the system needs to be reformed.
Yeah.
Significantly. But I feel like it should exist. It should just be reformed.
Patents too.
But Disney trying to get it so like it's 100 years after the person's death can just screw off.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
What were we talking about?
That's why I want the Mac. And yes, it does run Mac 9. It doesn't run Mac 10. And before that, like I said, we ran like Mac 8 machines.
Yeah.
Like really old Mac 8 machines. Actually, they might have been System 7 machines.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Like they had color, but they were not really.
System 7
was color.
Didn't have color, did it?
Yeah, it did.
Really?
Depending on your system, yeah. I think System 6 was all like no color. Like it might have been able to do color like for games, but not for the desktop. No.
Yeah.
No, it was definitely System 7. I mean, System 7 is from 1991.
When I was
I'm not that old.
Dude, when I was a kid, my friend Carl, his dad was like a Mac authorized dealer.
Yeah.
And he had like Macs out the wazoo, dude. He had like them all over the place. And I remember Carl and I had a classic Mac Carl had a classic Mac in his bedroom. And like when we would play games, we would play like Kaboom and Snavel and stuff on a classic Mac, dude. Holy cow, that was so much fun. Oh man. Yeah. And then like his dad had a freaking a Power Mac, like the I think it was like a G4 or something. It had the handles on it and you could pick it up. It was like a tower, but it was like all plastic.
That's the Power Max.
Oh man,
yeah.
I love that thing. And that was the first time I ever saw an iPod with an iTunes running on it. And Carl would like use iTunes to like copy his albums and burn them for me. It was awesome, dude. Anyway,
those were the days, man.
Those were the days.
And now I have a machine that has no disk drive or anything.
Right.
Because I don't need a disk drive. And when I do need a disk drive, I just use one of my older machines. Because if I need a disk drive, they're clearly the machines that need it anyway.
Well, I have a Blu-ray drive in both my desktop and my server. Because I ripped my movie.
Blu-ray drive. I just have another machine that does all that stuff for me because it's going to take forever anyway. My Threadripper's not going to speed up that process. Because it's the disk drive speed that's going to be the bottleneck. So some of those older machines, they just do it all for me. And then, of course, I'm like you. I have my NAS. I've had my NAS for quite a while. It's actually starting to kind of fill up a little bit, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Because my DVD collection is kind of, or Blu-ray collection is kind of starting to make it kind of full.
Yeah.
Full quality Blu-rays are pretty big.
Yeah, they are.
Like, yeah, what I do is I rip them and then I convert them into H.264. I think I use 5 now.
Yeah.
Because you can use it locally and really cuts down the file size. But I got to rip it first. So, it's like a 40 gig file or something, 20 gigs, something like that. It's ginormous.
Yeah, I tend to like just leave them and let Plex deal with that, like the transcoding.
Well, I do it so that it's not taking up an army of space on my NAS.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Because you can fill up a terabyte with 30 gig movie files awfully fast.
Yeah. Yeah. What were we talking about? No Man's Sky. How did we get from No Man's Sky to ripping Blu-rays? I love that, dude. It's so great.
It's a talent. It's a talent.
Anyway, what do you guys think about, No Man's Sky supporting Linux through supporting Proton? Let us know in the show notes, forum.heavyelement.io. You can also hit us up on Twitter. I'm at the Linux Gamer. He is at Raven67854. We also have an email address, show@offtopical.net. Let us know what you think there as well. All right, Nintendo is suing another ROM site. Last year, they actually filed suit against LoveRoms.com and Love Retro. and now they are taking action. They took action against them, and so it scared a bunch of other sites who voluntarily shut down because of that. ROM Universe did not, and now Nintendo's raining down their ire upon ROM Universe. Raven, what do you think about this?
Gosh, this is like one of those really sticky topics because, you know, they should be allowed to defend their copyright, which is rightfully theirs. But on the other hand, if they're going to shut down all this stuff, because like, okay, you know, one of the reasons why Love ROMs and Love Retro and now ROM Universe are being shut down is because they have Switch titles right on the front page. Like,
yeah,
come on. And in the case of like, I think it's ROM Universe, you pay money, you have to give them money to get like way faster download speeds. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, you're just asking for it when you do crap like that.
Right.
But as far as I'm concerned, like a lot of those old games, like a lot of those old ones, you can't get those games anymore and you can't play them.
Yeah.
So no one is losing anything by you downloading them off the internet and playing it. Now, it's still technically considered theft. So don't misinterpret me as encouraging, and I'm not encouraging piracy or anything like that.
Nope.
But on the other hand, I think this is where some form of common sense needs to come into. And in fairness, they kind of have. Like, emulation is legal in the United States. Emulation is not legal in Japan, for example, anymore. Or it's about to not be. I can't remember if that law went through or not. But in the United States, it's legal. And in fact, there was even a recent case that emulation and the games are, it kind of put a gray area as to how you acquire them. But there was another even more recent court case about like MMOs and stuff. Like, making emulators for those are now legal.
Yeah.
As long as you play it by yourself or privately. And
Right.
don't collect money for it. And it's because, like, the judges and the people who make these decisions have decided that once all this stuff is shut down, and after like 20, 30 years anyway, who knows who's going to own the copyright? Like, a lot of those Nintendo games that were on like the NES and the Super Nintendo, a lot of those companies don't exist. And who knows who owns the copyrights to them anymore, if anyone even owns it. So, Nintendo going around and just shutting down everything is a bit bullshit because most of the stuff is not theirs anyway.
Right.
Now,
The thing is, here's the thing. Like, I read an article, I think it might have been from Torrent Freak actually, about how piracy has recently seen a huge surge, right? There's been a huge surge of people pirating TV shows and movies when, like, for the last, like, 10 years or so, that has been on a decline. A steep decline. The reason it was on decline is because Netflix made it simple and easy to get the shows you want, and people are willing to pay for the frickin' shows that they want, the movies and the shows that they want to watch. People are willing to pay for them. But when and then all of a sudden you have CBS All Access, you have Hulu splitting off and doing their own thing. You have all these different Disney Plus, all these different frickin' NBC, all these companies doing their own thing, creating their own streaming service, trying to make a quick buck, and it's confusing, and it is doing more harm to their own business model. So people don't want to do that, so they go back to doing piracy. And it's like, that's the same thing. If Nintendo wants to actually make money here, they're not doing themselves any favor by spending a ton of cash.
Someone will appear. Someone new will appear. Eventually, someone new will appear.
Yeah.
Like, Emu Paradise was one that wasn't affected because Emu Paradise only did old stuff. Like, Emu Paradise did not allow Switch games.
They closed down though, didn't they?
Well, they're still up, but they don't have any ROMs, so effectively, yes.
Yeah.
And Emu Paradise used to be my go-to because, like, I actually have a fairly large game collection, like physical media game collection.
Yeah.
But I'd be damned if I'm going to hook up a disc drive to get some of those games. So I would just download them because I already own them anyway. Like, as far as I'm concerned, that's kind of fair. Like, am I using my copy? No. But is it any different from my copy? No. Literally not. Like, it would match my copy almost exactly. Because it's the same thing. They just, come on. How do you think they mass print PS2 games? Like, they don't, like, make them unique.
Right.
Everyone's just a copy of the other, of the original, which is all mine is. It's actually annoying to find my version. But like some old games, like you just can't buy them anymore. And
Right.
believe it or not, if Nintendo makes it possible for me to get an old game, I buy it.
Yeah.
Like I don't even waste time. Like my wallet is like, here you can have it, and I just throw it at their face.
Yeah.
Like I am all for it. Like when the SNES Classic came out,
Oh yeah.
dude, I bought that thing like immediately.
Me too.
I had a friend buy it for me because I couldn't get a copy, and I called him because he works at he works at a retailer, and I was like, dude, do you have any in stock right now? And he's like, yes. And I was like, you're on your break? I was like, yes, go buy it. I will pay you to go buy it. So he went and bought me a Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get it anywhere else. I was a bit late on that one and almost missed it. But anyway, my point is, if you make it easily accessible and you don't take it away, because that's the thing, right? Nintendo's like, well, they used to have that whole like Wii store with all those retro games that they've basically gotten rid of.
No.
Like, I need a place to get it. Mega Man? I don't own Mega Man on Steam. But if I wanted to play Mega Man, I'd buy it on Steam.
Yeah.
My first thought would not be to go to a website and download it. It would be, well, where can I get it legally?
Yeah.
And then that becomes the problem, right? Because, who owns some of those? Because there are actually a lot of really great games. Now, granted, most of the classic iconic stuff, their owners still exist. But there are a few old games that are really good that the owner just doesn't exist. I mean, look at System Shock 2. Arguably one of the greatest RPG / first-person shooters to come from the 90s. Look how long it took before that game could be purchased legally.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm lucky enough that for some reason I had a copy. Like, my dad happened to buy it and didn't like it, and I just had a copy, which is weird because it's an amazing game, but whatever. So I was able to play it, but if you've never played System Shock 2, dude, it's beautiful and you should go play it. It's amazing.
Mm.
Like, it is great story. You like Half-Life, the original Half-Life? It's like that, but with some RPG elements. It is so good.
And it's scary as hell. Like, at least when I played it when I was a younger guy. Mm-hmm. It was like, I remember playing System Shock 2, and I was like,
oh yeah,
I was wearing headphones, and those freaking like the zombies with the stereo audio, man. I was like, I literally got so scared, I threw my headphones off, and I like screamed. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, dude, it's amazing. Like it's so freaking awesome. Like it's just downright awesome. Even the original one is really good.
Yeah.
They're both great. And it annoys me that like that's the sort of problem we have. And that's why more and more people are starting to be like, well, is it really so wrong? Because there's no way to buy it. Like, no one is losing money because, quite frankly, if someone owned it and there was a way to make money, they'd be making money with it.
Yeah.
Like, how hard would it be for Nintendo to go through and package all their old games individually with a Nintendo emulator that they made themselves and then packaged it? How hard would that be? Not hard. How much money would they make? Probably a lot.
Yeah. Put it on freaking Steam.
Yeah, you could put the thing on Steam and then use their DLC feature to add games, and people would buy it like crazy. They would make a fortune.
Yeah.
They would make an absolute monstrous fortune.
Yep.
I mean, probably not as much as, like, say, modern titles, but you'd be amazed at how many people... I mean, look at how much they sell Mega Man for. Good lord.
Mm. See, if I was... Dude, Nintendo, if I was dictator for a day, you know what I would do? I would institute an online library where you can literally download anything like that. And it wouldn't be copyright infringement because... You know what? Screw that. But it would you'd have the ability to download old games that have rights issues or something like that, and it would be curated by librarians who love video games. I don't know. I haven't thought that one through completely, but I think it's a cool idea. I've wanted to do that for a while, but I'd probably get in trouble.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know. This story kind of makes me upset because it's like these companies don't really think about what they're doing. They're just upset about people downloading their games. It's like, well, if you sold your games, people would not have to download them. What do you guys think about this? Do you think Nintendo is in the right here? Do you think that they could do things better? Let us know on the forums, forum.heavyelement.io. All right, so it's time for listener questions, Raven.
It is.
This is cool. We haven't done listener questions for a while, so I'm pretty excited to get back to it. The first question is from Bjorn Svensson, and he says, when I tried out Manjaro, I was unable to get the graphics to work correctly. I had a line splitting the screen in half that always distorted the image when I tried to do something a little faster than crawling pace. Why is this happening?
That sucks.
I used an HP Omen with GTX 1060. So, Manjaro actually has a graphics driver utility. In the command line, it's called MHWD, and you can use that to install the proprietary drivers. There's also
a system panel for it too.
There is, yeah. There's also a system panel for it, and it's really nice. It's very simple. I think it's easier to use than Ubuntu's, honestly. You can check that out. See if that helps you. I've never used the GTX 1060 is an HP Omen a laptop? I think it is.
I think so.
Yeah.
It could be that you have the dreaded
Bumblebee.
Optimus problem.
Optimus, yeah.
Which, admittedly, there's videos on YouTube. You can look it up if you have issues running your 1060. Like, if you can only use your Intel. Manjaro actually has put in a lot of work, as has NVIDIA, to get Prime working. And they actually have it working to where, because, honestly, with Linux and the dual graphics cards, if this is your problem, one of the big problems has always been, we've been able to get it to work, but it's always been one of those situations where, you have the Intel card on, and then when you want to switch, you run a command, and then you reboot the machine, and then you're now using the dedicated card, and that's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Especially when the whole point is to switch in real time, without rebooting. And NVIDIA's Prime system actually has a thing for that, but it never really works. But NVIDIA's been putting out patches, particularly here lately, quite a bit in relation to it, and Manjaro actually works. Manjaro has an actual system. Someone has a YouTube video of it working, and it works. It actually works every time. If you follow the steps that Manjaro has in place, it will work every single time for NVIDIA's Optimus. And all you don't even have to, you do have to do something, but you don't have to reboot. I forget what you have to do. You have to punch in a command. In my leather chair, sorry about that. Very leathery. So it's I will try to find it, and so we can add it to the show notes for you. I will do that. Just remind me to do that, Gardner. So because I want that to be in there, because that is something that I would imagine is really annoying.
Yeah.
Now, if you just have a dedicated machine, like it's not a laptop, you're not using integrated, I would just say that you're probably using the non-free drivers. Sorry, you're using the free drivers. So, and that always leads to problems. And I have a phone call, so I'm going to answer this. You can go on to the next question.
All right. The next question is from TuxedKoo. Let's read that one here. TuxedKoo says, since Librem 5 have two M.2 slots, can they be utilized for discrete GPU and fast storage? I would imagine that they could be, but also I'm honestly not sure. It would be cool to be able to have a dedicated GPU that you dragged around with you for your phone, but you would be sacrificing either your baseband or your Wi-Fi and your Bluetooth if you did that, because that's what those slots are for. Some people I've seen some people using SATA devices. SATA device. Oh, actually, I gotta Google this. Can you use a discrete GPU on M.2. Can you run a GPU off an M.2 slot? Looks like it.
You can, but I mean, what exactly could you use? There are no GPUs in an M.2 slot that would work with the Librem 5.
Right.
So
yeah, it would be. You'd have to have like drivers for it, and
at best, you could do NVIDIA. At best, because NVIDIA actually has ARM drivers.
For like, a Titan X or something.
I don't know about a Titan X, but for some of their stuff, yes, they do.
Why wouldn't the open source driver for like a Radeon card work?
Because I don't think it exists. Like they've never been compiled for ARM. They've never been compiled for ARM. Like, could they? Yes. At the very least, you wouldn't have to rely on well, yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to rely on Linux, but or another company. But yes, there are ARM drivers for Linux, believe it or not, which is just mind blowing, and they do exist. I don't know for which cards, so that's the really big problem, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know which cards that they are.
Right.
So you'd have to figure that out, and not all cards would be supported, but technically they do have them.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I don't know where you're going to get an M.2 NVIDIA graphics card, but
isn't there like an adapter or no?
I don't think so.
The other thing is, you asked about fast storage. Yeah, you can probably use these for fast storage. Don't quote me on that.
Oh yeah, probably, definitely, considering all things. Yeah, you could definitely I would say use them for fast storage.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to give up your baseband or your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth to do it, but,
Yeah.
Choices, sacrifices.
Right. Yeah, you have to give up something in order to get more storage. But there's also SD cards that you can do decently fast storage as well. And that has a SD card slot on it. Mateo DC asks, any hope for Borderlands 3 on Linux? No.
No. Just let it go. It's not going to happen.
I mean,
it's also not going to...
I heard that you can like get the Epic Store running through Lutris, but I don't give a crap to try that.
Yeah, me either.
This is just... Yeah, no, unfortunately, Mateo, I don't think that's going to happen. If it ever comes to Steam, then it might work through Proton, but I doubt if it comes to Steam that the team will have like the momentum to actually port it natively to Linux. I doubt that. And then Mac asks, pertaining to Linux gaming, input lag in general in games, specifically fighting games, how far has Linux come on that field? So input lag in games. I really haven't noticed a whole lot of input lag. What do you think? No response.
My opinion on that is if you're experiencing input lag, from my experience, it doesn't exist any worse than Windows, unless you're using Bluetooth. Don't use Bluetooth crap.
No, Bluetooth is junk. Yeah, I tried to play I tried to play Dead Cells with a DualShock 4 over Bluetooth. Huge mistake. Huge mistake. There is a ton of input lag there. I wonder why. I wonder why that is. Why is there input lag through Bluetooth on a desktop?
It's not designed to be low latency.
But they have Bluetooth for. I mean, that's what they use in the PlayStation 4 and the Switch and stuff.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
Okay.
Also, remember, everyone is going to be using that, so everyone has the same, flaw. But it's kind of like they use a modified version of it with lower latency.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So from what I know, they use it's not straight up. Also on my Android phone, for example, I also have the problem where like if I hook my PlayStation 4 controller up to it to play like Shadowgun Legends, the input lag is like literally like 2 seconds. It's absolutely insane. Whereas, if I hook it up straight through USB, no lag. So I have to hook it up through USB. It's just Bluetooth is just not meant for that. It never was, and it never will be, it seems. And yes, I do realize that they use Bluetooth, but I think they use I think they modified it, the hardware and the software, so it works differently when it's connected to their device, which is neat. I don't know what they did, but it's cool that they lowered the latency of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I haven't experienced input lag. If you're experiencing it, don't use Bluetooth. There might be some other like tweaks that you can do for NVIDIA cards, I believe, where they have like the buffering going on. I don't think that's enabled by default though for your card. But
No.
I haven't experienced a lot of that, so I can't really speak to that. Yep. Raven.
Yes.
I think that's going to do it for this episode.
I do as well.
Thank you to everyone who asked questions. Thank you to everyone who submitted stories for this week's episode. Thank you to Raven for being here, my friend. It's a pleasure as always.
Pleasure's all mine. Get another phone call. Hang on.
This has been the Off Topical Podcast. My name is Gardner, and let's do this again soon. Oh, yeah. Do you want to do it? You want me to do it?
Yeah, you can do it.
Okay.
I'll let you do it. People like your voice more. They listen to me for the ramblings. They listen to you for the serious stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's what I like to believe. That's what I want to believe.
Yeah. It puts most of the burden on me.
Exactly. I'm glad you saw through that facade.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Good to start off with a laugh. All right, here we go.